How's it going, Starseekers? My name's Gotcake, and welcome to this review of Carrion, an action horror game where you get to do the scaring, as you take control of a writhing tentacle parasite with 1,000 teeth, and get to wreak havoc on the unlucky inhabitants of a research facility as you try to make your escape. So as we begin at the main menu, we see this beautiful specimen whipping its hair back and forth, and we can first take a quick scout at the game's options. Here we have some basic audio settings, language options, and we can also toggle the in-game HUD on and off. In the controls menu we find two sets of controls, one for the monster and one for humans, and we're able to rebind the game's buttons to our liking. When we're satisfied, we can back out to the main menu and begin a new game. So we begin the game in the least secure containment unit in existence. By wobbling our left thumbstick we can rock the boat and out bursts our beautiful baby parasite. This makes all the scientists in the area shit themselves, and then we get to take our first baby steps through the facility. Now Carrion features a twin stick control scheme with our left thumbstick controlling our movement, whilst our right one controls our tentacle, which can be used to operate switches and grab various objects, including humans, which we're able to drag in and chow down on to restore some of our health seen at the top of the screen. Controlling your monster in the game is very fluid for the most part. I had occasional issues steering the monster when it was at its biggest, and I did encounter some issues when entering rooms containing humans and several objects, as I sometimes struggled with targeting the humans and my tendrils would just grab at objects instead, leading to my death on more than one occasion. So this opening area introduces us to some of the game's basic mechanics, such as utilising one-way pipes and squeezing through doorways to transit between areas, activating switches to open sealed doors, and finding hive locations from which to spread our biomass, which also acts as a save point. Now hives play a key role in progressing through the game, as you begin in sort of a hub area and are able to reach new areas from it. But in order to get to these new areas, you first must unlock the sealed doors by locating a specific number of hive locations. This first location only requires one hive to open, but further into the game you'll find doors which require multiple hives to open. So in each area of the game you'll find a containment unit. Breaking into these and entering them will upgrade your monster, adding new abilities or increasing its size. There are 3 different monster sizes, and each has 2 standard abilities available at any monster size. Firstly we have the echolocate ability that can locate nearby hives, and secondly the parasite ability, which allows you to inhabit and control the body of a human, who you can then use to activate switches or blast away at the former colleagues. You also have access to several other abilities, but the availability of these depends on the size of your monster, and these include things such as webs which can activate switches from a distance, or a ram maneuver which can break wooden barricades, metal vent covers and squishy humans. Several of your abilities also require energy to use them, and one such example is the cloaking ability, only available at the smallest monster size, which allows you to pass through lasers without triggering them. I thought the developer's choice to limit abilities based on monster size was an interesting one, as it enables the game to also feature some puzzle-like elements. These are usually pretty simple, requiring you to work out how to open a doorway or activate a lever, but it often requires you to switch between sizes to utilise different abilities. You can do this by storing some of your biomass in designated pools, which you can then return to and consume later to restore your biomass. I actually really enjoyed these puzzles, but it was sometimes a little annoying to have to backtrack to drop off some biomass after encountering an obstruction requiring a different size monster. Now the game has some Metroidvania elements, requiring you to travel back and forth between areas as you acquire new abilities, but the lack of a map restricts the game's ability to provide multiple routes through it, and means the game is actually very linear. And this brings me on to my first criticism of the game. Whilst the developers have done the best to steer you in the right direction and help distinguish between different areas by featuring several different biomes, the lack of a map really becomes an issue towards the end of the game as areas become larger, and you're forced to memorise where you've been and what you've done. Now usually I knew I'd been somewhere by the trail of destruction left in my wake, but near the end of the game, after I'd destroyed everyone and everything, I must have spent a good 30 minutes travelling back through empty zones trying to find out where to go next. So getting back to gameplay, each area tasks you with first locating the containment unit within it, and then activating the hive locations to open the door to the next area. Standing in your way though are a number of different enemies, which range from humans wielding various weapons, automated drones which are nippy little bastards and a right pain in the ass to grab and smash, and large human controlled walker units which will obliterate your poor monster if they manage to lock onto it. Now these encounters really are the highlight of the game, as enemies can be dealt with in a number of different ways. You could choose to tear ass in all guns blazing and try and take them out as fast as possible, or you can take your time and pick them off one by one, maybe even possessing one to do your dirty work with. The majority of encounters in the game are not too difficult to handle, but there are a few trickier ones requiring a bit of trial and error before you manage to clear them. So as you work your way through Carrion, you'll also encounter memories, which are intended to flesh out the game's backstory, showing how the creature we play as came to be. Now there may be more, but I only found 3 of these, but if that is all there is in the game then it's a real shame, as they add very little to the storyline, and I think it's a wasted opportunity to really delve into the history of the facility and its secrets. In addition to the memories, you can also find several optional containment units hidden away in each area, which upgrade your monster and some of your abilities, such as improving your echolocate ability, so it can also locate nearby consumable bodies. So when it comes to the game's visuals, I have to say I thought the game was exceptional. Each environment's pixel art was extremely detailed, and I love the way in which the monster was animated as it moves through the terrain, latching onto walls as it goes, leaving behind a trail of crimson. I think my favourite thing about the visuals has to be the combat. The pure chaos that ensues as you burst into rooms and rip your way through humans, spraying blood and limbs in all directions, was just delightful. Finally, I have to comment on the game's audio, which was also excellent. Its soundtrack features dark ambient sci-fi music, which suddenly turns into thumping horror beats that are the perfect accompaniment to the blood-curdling screams of the ex-humans you just annihilated. So I have to say that Carrion is not a long game, and it'll likely take most people around 5 to 6 hours on average to beat. Considering its cost, some may say that this isn't very good value for money, and I would agree if you're just looking at gameplay hours per pound spent. However, I have to say that Carrion is one of the most enjoyable gameplay experiences I've had all year, and I don't regret buying it for this review. Do I wish it was longer? Of course I do, but not because I felt that I didn't get what I paid for, but because I enjoyed every minute of it, and I just wanted to spend several more hours stalking and tearing my way through the facility and its inhabitants. So now let's get on to rating the game. Now I rate games between 1 and 5 stars, with a shovelware stamp of approval reserved for the worst games on the eShop. This rating is based on my own personal opinion on what a game has to offer in terms of gameplay and value for money to potential buyers. And for a rating I'd give Carrion 4 out of 5 stars. There really is a lot of fun to be had with Carrion, with its only real downfalls being its lack of a map, minimal story elements, and occasionally awkward controls. And I also can't deny that the game's length may be an issue for those looking for a longer gameplay experience. You can get the game from the UK Switch eShop for £17.99, or from the US eShop for $19.99. Alternatively, the game's also available on Steam and Xbox One. How's it going, Star Seekers? Hope you enjoyed this Carrion review, and if you did, remember to hit that like button and let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, consider subscribing to the channel for future Switch indie game reviews, and jump onto the Star Seekers Discord via the link in this video's description to join its growing community. For now though, I just want to say thanks once again for watching, and until next time, game on.